Thank you.
Hello, welcome. I'm Cynthia Doctoral, and today we have Dr. Vita Jones, and she is going to share with you some insights about finding the right doctorate program, and she'll also answer any questions you might have about selecting a doctorate program and the rigor of the coursework. So if you would please use the chat window to type in any questions, and we'll make sure to answer all your questions, or at least direct you to the right place to get your questions answered. And also at the end of the webinar, we will have a survey for you to complete, and that just helps us to further enhance our webinars and our offerings to you. So thank you very much for joining us today. So Dr. Jones?
Yes, good evening and welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you were able to take out time of your schedule to join us tonight. We are going to be talking about doctoral degree options, and I'll start with a quick introduction about myself. I'm an associate professor here at Cal State Fullerton in the early childhood special ed field, and I'm also in the special education department. So that's a little bit about where I am currently. And also, I'm a graduate of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And down below on your screen, you can see highlighted that my dissertation topic was African American Parental Beliefs, a Delphi study. And so I'm going to click on it and just share a little bit of information with you about my PhD and my journey to start out with. And my dissertation is housed at the Pollack Library, as well as anywhere on the website you can locate it. But I wanted to look at a concept of resiliency, and I defined academic resiliency by having students graduate from high school. So I conducted a Delphi study, which is a series of surveys, a round of surveys. In fact, it was 3 rounds of surveys. And I wanted to determine what were the characteristics that helped a student graduate, African American students graduate from high school. And I conducted my study in 5 churches. And so I have a short write-up here, a little summary about the study. And these are the things that I found that were really important and contributed to the children graduating. As you can imagine, because it was held in a church, a lot of the participants said that their faith and being spiritual contributed to them graduating. Also, personal traits, how they disciplined themselves to study. Family involvement was a key piece to this study. Families supported their students in their attainment of education. And then educational supports, which included, most of all, their teachers, the environment, and even other students. And then things that hindered them, they said, were things like inappropriate behaviors and a lack of resources. So they talked about things that helped them become resilient and also things that hindered them from being resilient. So I just wanted to share a little bit of information about my personal dissertation with you. And I'm going to click out of that and go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. In my current position, I instruct new teachers in innovative strategies to support the development of young children with disabilities. So I teach courses like special education, early childhood development, early literacy. I work with students in teaching a class called Family Intervention, where the teachers get in strategies and instruction on how to work with the parents. And so I earned my master's degree as well at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. So I've also done some international work with my PhD. It really has opened up a lot of doors for me. And I was able to travel to South Africa twice to a township called Kliptown and pass out surveys and do interviews with the students there that were faring quite well. And one of the things that intrigued me about the research I did in Kliptown, South Africa, was that the township I visited had a 100% graduation rate. So before we get really excited about that, there were only 25 students in the senior class. But those 25 students all graduated, and they call their proficiency tests matrices. And they told me in their study one of the reasons that they were successful is because other students who had went through the program stayed on for additional time and mentored them. So their success in becoming resilient academically was attributed to mentors. And then I've also traveled to the Eton Montessori schools in Beijing, which was quite interesting, and did some surveys there, conducted surveys on how they kept their students involved in the Montessori programs and what kind of strategies they use with those young children. And they just couldn't sing the praises enough of the Montessori schools in China because they felt like it was developmentally appropriate. Students could move along at their own individual pace. The teachers acted more as facilitators instead of giving a lot of direct instruction. So recently, I've been able to travel to Cyprus, Australia, Canada, and Russia, and talk about not just early childhood, but also special ed in general. Many countries are grappling with the idea of inclusion and bringing students with disabilities together with students without disabilities. So that's been quite interesting. And I've written several articles on disabilities, and also I have a book chapter that I've written on the components of international special education procedures. Okay, Heather currently lives in China. Oh, awesome, welcome. So let's talk about the PhD or the EDD. And so the PhD degree focuses on theoretical-based research with a broader range of opportunities. And now this can be up to speculation, but this is what I've been able to determine in studying about the PhD. PhD students generally seek employment as college professors, but they also have a varied array of options. They're often called, experts in their field, and this degree is called a terminal degree, which sounds kind of morbid, but actually it just means that it's the highest level of attainment in a discipline. So that's why it's called a terminal degree. The EDD degree generally focuses on practices that impact education. And EDD students are generally employed as administrators or curriculum development specialists, but they also have a wide range of choices that they can go into, or fields that they can go into as well. So consider a PhD if your goal is to be a professional researcher or instructor in higher education. The PhD involves research, studying a phenomenon, and finding research to support a hypothesis. And so consider it also if your goal is to influence policy and practice. You'll notice when you watch the evening news that we often bring specialists in different disciplines and fields to give their opinion about things that are based on research that they've done. And consider an EDD to study curriculum, because this is focused more toward education. And the EDD is also geared towards solving an educational problem. Also consider an EDD to work as an educational administrator or in a leadership position. But it's probably best that you consult a program advisor of the university that you're considering going to determine which degree is best for you. There are multiple ways of applying for the PhD or EDD process, and once again, each school is different, but you have to determine your field of inquiry. I was very interested in special education, and a little bit more about my background. I started as a paraprofessional in special education for about 10 years, and then became a teacher in the special education field. And once I became a teacher, in the state that I'm in, that I lived in, you only had to have your bachelor's degree, and your credentials were built into the bachelor's degree. So upon graduation from my four-year degree, I started teaching. But I was also advised that to get a master's degree in early childhood would really hone my skills and take me to a different level. So I pursued the master's degree and specialized in specifically early childhood special ed, so I could learn about developmentally appropriate practices, all the developmental domains for young children that are typical developing, as well as those children that have special needs. So the master's degree really helped me focus on specialized training. So if you're planning to apply for a PhD, you need to research your program by discipline. Determine what you're interested in studying, because you will be basically married to that topic for a little bit, so you need to be quite comfortable with it. I really let my passion drive my dissertation. What was I most interested in? And at that time, and I still am now, but I was very concerned about the number of African American students that were in special ed. And so I wanted to look at what characteristics of resilience cause this population of students to be successful. So one of the things I did after I got my PhD was I went back to the churches that so graciously allowed me to do my studies there. And I studied or surveyed over 2,000 families within those 5 churches. So when I compiled my data and wrote my chapters 4 and 5, I went back to the 5 churches and disseminated that information to help the people that were working with children in their churches. So really determine what you want to study. Research your program by discipline. What are you interested in? And focus on recommendations. Talk to other people and see what they've done. Do your homework. See what their experiences are with the doc programs. They can run from 3 years to 5 years or even more. Pay close attention to the academic score cutoff. What's your GPA like, and what do you need to get into these programs? Because each program will be different. But as you can imagine, you need a very high or a good, strong GPA. Then you can look for the graduate record examination, commonly called the GRE. And this is sort of like the entrance test to most PhD and EDD programs. So if you're interested in getting a higher ed degree, then it would be good to look at that examination, see what it consists of, how familiar you are. Maybe take one of the pre-tests and see how you fare. Find out what type of tutoring is available. Also, once again, I'm speaking in broad terms because each individual university will have their own guidelines. But whatever they are, become very familiar with them. Look at the program of study, because in addition to doing a study with your PhD or your EDD, there is coursework as well. You may have 5 to 7 or even more courses that you take before you actually conduct a study. And you need to look at this program of study, see how it fits into your schedule. Do you want to go part-time? Do you want to go full-time? Do they offer the program part-time as opposed to full-time? So you have quite a bit of investigation to do. And then finally, determine financial obligations and see what type of resources there are. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Another very important component of obtaining your PhD or your EDD is to really choose a very good committee, choosing your dissertation committee. Often, the people that you choose to be on your committee are people that you've taken classes with during the coursework section of getting this degree. So look for those teachers that you took courses with that you felt were compatible with you. Expect feedback from the committee. Get in the habit of going to your professor's office hours, getting to know them, asking them questions. And one key thing that I feel like is so important is to examine your committee members. Once you've decided who your committee members will be, look at their research agenda and look for an alignment. I looked for people that were interested in looking at African American students and how they were progressing in school. So I found people to include in my research, as well as help me in my committee work, that had the same interest as me. So be prepared to fully engage in the mentor-mentee relationship. Most of us are adults when we return to school, and the fact of being mentored by someone may be a little off-putting, but you're really going to subject yourself to this relationship for a period of time in your life, and you have to be available, and you have to be willing to hear the good things, the bad things. Sometimes you're writing, you may think, oh my goodness, will they ever stop editing my writing? Well, actually, it never stops being edited. Even though I've been teaching and been a professor for 8 years now, I'm still getting lots of edits when I submit articles. They don't always get published the first or second go round. So you have to be willing and ready to engage in this mentor-mentee relationship. And then consider real carefully the doctoral professors that will guide you in the process. And so you're going to look for those people that are going to push you a little bit. And then you're going to also look for those people that have expertise in things like statistics, because you are conducting a study. So you definitely want someone on your team or your committee that is well-versed in different areas. And so you want a well-rounded committee, a good team to guide you through this process. And once again, you're going to be with these individuals for 3 to 5 or even more years. So you really want good compatibility. I wanted to show you one of the doctoral degree programs from Cal State Fullerton. It's my understanding that we just have the two. We have the Doctor of Nursing practice degree, and then we also have the EDD leadership program. So I'm just going to click on here and give you an idea of what we offer right at Cal State Fullerton. Okay, so here on the website is information about our own Doctor of Nursing practice degree, and this is what you would do with any terminal degree that you're researching. Start with the web page and look at the program overview, the curriculum, and even the application and selection process. These are things you want to acquaint yourself with and get familiar with them. And then see how this is laid out. The applications are available. There's frequently asked questions. Let's click on there and see, what kind of questions are students asking? Because a lot of this can be answered. Here's one that a lot of people probably are interested in. Can I work while I'm attending this program? What's the cost of the program? If you're applying for a program, you want to know how many people they accept each year. Okay, you want to know if the program is a hybrid, if some of the classes are offered online or if they're all face-to-face. There you go. This has a GRE requirement, and then there's another test that may be required. So this is really important. And then part of the application process may require you to write certain papers. So I'm looking now, Heather, okay. I still only see the presentation. I do not see the website. Okay, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Let's see.
Vita, I think it's okay. So those of you who are watching, why don't you just go ahead and there's the link, so you can click on it yourself. I don't want to disrupt the PowerPoint because it may take a while to get back to it. So
okay.
if you'd like to take a look at it, you can just go ahead and click on that link and open it up. And and then review the admissions process and so forth. Thank you.
Okay. All right, good information. Oh, the links aren't working. It's probably because it's a PDF. Okay. Well, I think you'll have to cut and paste it at another time and look at it, but I do want you to be aware that Cal State Fullerton has one for nursing. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. So once you have access, you can go online and look at the different components of the application process. And that's what you would do for any PhD or EDD program, just like you probably did with your bachelor's program, your credential program. It's the exact same thing. And thank you, Cynthia, for popping it in on the website there. All right. So there's great information in there to share for students that are considering, a Doctor of Nursing practice degree. And through the years, the websites just get better and better because the students begin to ask questions. The program designers place things online to make your life a lot easier. Also, and so maybe Cynthia, you can pop this one in as well. The Doctor of Education degree is something that Cal State Fullerton offers, which is a phenomenal program. And I chair for some of the students in this program. And this is one of the few programs in the region that offers separate specializations in pre-K all the way to 12 leadership. So we're very proud of this program as well. So I'm going to click on it, and then I think you can click on it from looking at the message area. And let's see if it loads up. Let me know if you have access before we go on. Yes, it works for us. Thank you, Rebecca. All right. So this is Cal State Fullerton's doc program, and the same thing applies as the doctorate in nursing practice. There is so much information. I love how they put future students. So it tells you a little bit about the program. Our program is distinct, okay? Community college leadership. How does CSUF program costs compare to other programs? So there's lots of information here. And once again, we all love frequently asked questions, okay? So go ahead and click on frequently asked questions. And one of the things that we were talking about earlier is right there for question number 1. What is the difference between a PhD and an EDD? So there's our answer. The PhD tends to be more research-oriented and is often designed for individuals who wish to become faculty. The EDD focuses on the application of theory and research to problems of practice in education and is designed for working professional and educational leaders. So there you go. There's some information that will help guide you. And one thing I want to say about Cal State Fullerton's Doctorate of Education degree, one thing that I know for sure that makes it distinct is the students move through in a cohort. And I would strongly advise you to become a part of a cohort in your PhD program. And it just makes good sense that you work together with a team of people. You go through your coursework together, you share notes together, you have the same ideas and you can network. It becomes so much more powerful when you are working with a cohort as opposed to working in isolation by yourself. There's just a benefit, a tremendous benefit to working together with a cohort. Now, it says our program is distinct. Let's click on that section where it says our program is distinct for the Doctor of Education degree. If everybody's there, we'll look at some of the unique characteristics. And I guess it sounds like I'm putting a little plug in for the Doctorate of Education degree, and I guess I am. But Number one, we are one of only a few programs throughout Southern California that offers completely separate specializations in P12 leadership and community college leadership. So, and I'd like to say that the majority of the people in this program are working individuals, administrators from community colleges, teachers that are in the classroom. So this program and this cohort is uniquely designed to support you while you're working each day. So I want to make sure I highlight that information for you as well. Okay, I could probably go on and on about the Doctorate of Education, but you have a little work to do if you're interested in that. You can go online and check it out for yourself. Now, as promised, I said I would offer a little bit of information about financial support because it's really important that we have some support financially as we're going through school. We know that most people just don't have money socked away just for school. So I went to a couple of websites to find out some information. And I don't know, Cynthia, if you want to pop these up and we can talk about them, or you can just feel free to look at fellowships and internships on your own and see what you can find that pertains to what you're interested in. Now, the assistantships are something that are given at the college level generally, whereas fellowships and internships you may be able to get nationwide. There may be nationwide contributors to this money, but assistantships usually are something you get from your departments, okay? So I wanted you to be aware that it's important to shop money just like it is to shop a program, because I was fortunate in getting my master's degree and my bachelor's degree as a result of some very creative and innovative financial programs. One of the programs that I qualified for my master's degree, I was able to actually leave my job and go to school full-time, receive my full pay, and get my education. So I would say it behooves you to really do your research on the financial side as well as the program that you're interested in. Okay.
Vita, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we had a question from Heather. She was interested in how you would choose your own specialization. I know you talked a little bit about it as far as what you're passionate about, but could you speak to why you would want a specific specialization and how you would go about selecting that?
Definitely. Let me tell you a little bit about my journey. As I mentioned, I was a paraprofessional in the special education department for over 10 years. And from there, I went on to get my teaching certificate because I was doing the work as a para. I felt, on par with some teachers. Teachers left me in charge of the classroom. I had small group and one-on-one direct instruction. I was utilizing the strategies that I saw the teachers utilize, and they were grooming me actually to become a teacher. So I felt like I had a natural bend toward that specialization. And also there was a question I was asking myself in special ed as to why there were so many African American students in special ed. So I was trying to solve a problem. So as far as a specialization, start where you are. What are the things that you're doing currently that you have a question about, that you want to solve? What is the issue that comes up in the field that you're currently working in that intrigues you, that you're drawn to? Is there a population of students that you're concerned about? I feel like it is tied. Your specialization will be tied to your passion. If you're not passionate about it, you won't pursue it as widely as you should. You won't want to stay with it. So it has to be something that you're genuinely interested in as far as a specialization. I tell people this would be something I would do even if I didn't get paid, because I'm that concerned about it. I think about the current climate that we're living in and some of the issues with Black Lives Matter. I feel like my research contributes to positive ways that students can have enhanced self-esteem. I look at initiatives like My Brother's Keeper, which is a national initiative to have each state report out on how this population of students is faring in their individual state. I read books about how what educators can do and what contribution they can make to alleviate some of the educational inequities. I just recently took on a mentoring role at Cal State Fullerton to work with underserved populations. So when we talk about specializations, think about what you would do, even if you didn't get paid, something that you're passionate about. What issue in education or in your field would you like to solve? What is it that's going on that keeps you awake, that you discuss with your family or with your friends, something that you want to help change in society? So specialization, I believe, is really driven from your passion and what you care about. So let me know if that helps. And while you're responding, find like-minded people that share the same specialization as you. When you're doing your research, look for those researchers that are already out in the field conducting studies. I looked at people that had contributed to this body of literature. And in fact, that's really what you do in a PhD program. When you're writing chapter 2, it's also called a literature review. And so you're combing the literature and you're trying to find out who are the leading researchers in this area and what are they saying? How many studies have been conducted on this population of students? What did they find out? How can I extend their literature? If they've already said something that I'm considering saying, maybe I don't need to say it. Maybe I need to be redirected into another part of the problem. So these are all things you find out when you begin to write your chapter 2. There's 5 chapters that you write with your PhD. And your introduction is the first one. And then your literature review, and then how you're going to conduct your study is the third. Your results and your discussion are your 4 and 5. So these are things you do naturally with your literature review as you comb the literature, find out who else has that same specialization that you have and that you're interested in. Let me know if that's helpful. And are there any other questions? I just want to remind you again that it's a natural progression to go from your master's degree into a PhD program. So don't be intimidated by it. Just like it's a natural progression to get your master's degree beyond your bachelor's degree. And so don't let the fear factor play into your decision. Okay, I've heard that they let doctoral students teach courses at the university. Yes, they do. And it's good experience. When I was in my doctoral program at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, I taught as a doctoral student, I was teaching students, and it was a rewarding experience. It's one thing to know subject matter, content matter, and it's a whole nother ball game to teach it. Your organizational skills have to be honed. You have to plan lessons. I literally went from teaching preschool students, 3 and 4 years old, to teaching university students. And so it was quite a switch, and I had to play catch up and learn how to appeal to a different audience. But that is part of most doctoral programs. They do allow you to have experience teaching. And did I get paid? Yes, I did. I was fortunate enough to be brought on campus and work at the university. And this speaks to having a really good dissertation committee. My committee members got together and allowed me to have a position on campus. Once I finished my coursework and I was doing my actual study, I was brought on as a graduate assistant and worked with teaching in the special ed program. I got paid a salary, and so it was a really good experience for me, as well as getting money. Okay. All right. From Precious, you have to leave, and that's okay. Yes, you may definitely contact me at any time. I'm on the website under Vita Jones, and I'd love to hear from you. Any other questions tonight? I'd really like to ask you some questions tonight too, and you can type your answers. As you're listening to this, what ideas do you have? What specialization are you interested in? How would you, what would you say is your passion that you would like to study in an EDD or a PhD program? And yes, definitely you should visit the university that you want to apply to. You most definitely should contact them and set up some time to go through and meet the professors and talk to them, and maybe even sit in one of their classes. You know, get a line of research from their curriculum vita, read some information about them. But yes, you want to make sure it's a good fit for you. But yes, please share with me any interests that you have that maybe you would consider developing further. How far in advance do I need to apply? Okay, every school, college is going to be different, so that's one of those probably frequently asked questions. But I would say it's never too early to start conducting research and finding out when the program application is due, what kind of tests are required before you can apply. Get all the application information early and start, putting together a file and finding out what information you need so that you'll be ready. Be aware of timelines and deadlines. So it's never too early to start. Okay, I did my master's project on the integration of the next generation science standards and literacy. And I'd like to continue that focus. Very interesting. And as a matter of fact, we have a new professor, Dr. Antoinette Linton, who's also very much into the sciences in the College of Ed. And so a good place to start for you would be to locate a professor with a similar interest and sit down and have a discussion about how they pursued that interest, and share with them your interests and see what feedback they can give you and how you should take your research. Okay? Raquel, I've heard of some EDD programs that are online, but I question how the dissertation process would work. I would too. I definitely would question that. And I know right now it's just that the time that we live in, a lot of programs are online. And I guess because I went the old-fashioned brick and mortar school route, I'm more partial to that. But check with the online programs, see what they're standing with the state and all the other credentialing and accreditation requirements, if they've met all of those, and then do your due diligence in really researching what type of programs they are. Okay, you have to leave now, but thank you for logging on. Okay, mommy duties, I understand. Okay, Heather, how long did it take for me to get my PhD? Yes, 5 years. I would say I did a good 3 years of coursework because I went to school part-time and I worked full-time. The last 2 years, as I was writing up my methods section and preparing to conduct my study, was the time that I was brought on campus to work. And so it took a full 2 additional years. So it was a 5-year program for me. So what kind of weekly time commitment? Well, I didn't really have a social life while I was in the PhD program. I went to school and I had my job duties the first 3 years, and I would eke out a little bit of time, monthly to do things with my family and keep my faith commitments at my church. And fortunately, I did my study in churches, so I got to be with that community quite a bit. Every now and then I would get kidnapped by a family member for a massage or a nice meal. But it's really an intense program. But I felt like what I was giving up was nothing compared to what I was gaining. And like I said, I've been all around the world with this terminal degree, which sounds kind of morbid, but it really has brought a lot of life to me in that I've met people from all cultures, and I feel like I can contribute and consult on special education issues and have a level of expertise. Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Make sure it is accredited. All right, funds to travel to evaluate doctoral programs. I tell you, you have a wealth of information right here with Dr. Gautreaux. She has tapped into many, many resources that are beneficial for students. Now, are there any other questions that you have concerning the PhD or the EDD program? I'm so glad that you were able to log on tonight, and I'd like to share any additional information that you would like. Okay, Dr. Gautreaux, do you have any other questions for me?
I kind of think that that's about it. You did such a wonderful presentation that you answered so many questions that everyone probably had. So thank you so much, Dr. Jones. We really appreciate everything. Oh, do you have one more question? Oh, no, you already answered that one. I do appreciate all the insight that you provided and sharing the difference between a PhD and an EDD. I know that's a question that comes up very often, and I thought you did it very eloquently, so thank you very much. And for those of you who are online, if you wouldn't mind answering a survey, we have a quick survey for you with regard to the presentation. And Vita, do you have that on your slide?
Oh my goodness. Dr. Gautreaux, you told me to pop that up there, and I did not put it on this set of PowerPoints. How can I remedy this?
Okay, let me just jump in real quick, and hopefully we don't lose too many students, and get and put the link in there for you.
Okay.
Okay, just give me 1 second. And here it is. So if you wouldn't mind, it should take it less than 5 minutes to complete the survey. And thank you so much for your feedback, and we will hopefully see you next week. We have another webinar scheduled for next Monday. Thank you.